Jersey, and we were visiting New York, right? And I was trying to find cheap places to stay. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, $300 a night, $250 a night. And I was like, oh, sweet, $88 a night. Bam, booked it right now. And my wife was like, where is it? I was like, I don't know, some little town out of New York called Newark. I never heard of it, but it's $88 a night. We're staying there. So we get there, and I definitely know why it was $88 a night, because we were in a very rough area of town, and it was so rough though. I was like, we gotta take all of our stuff up inside to the Airbnb. The Airbnb was all right, but they definitely lied when they said you get the whole house because you got their attic, and they were still living in the bottom part of their house.
Oh wow!
So we literally requested like an entire place because we didn't want to be in a place where other people were still living.
There you go, folks. The MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel podcast. I think that's our first ever Newark story intro we ever had to start a show. So thank you, Will. That was actually very poignant to hear about. So were you robbed eventually or anything like that? I mean, how did this?
We were only there for 4 days. So, but I learned a lesson in being cheap. That is for sure a lesson that my wife doesn't let me forget. I'll be right back.
I'm surprised that Newark's reputation had not reached out to you with that, before that. But anyways, folks, MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel podcast in the house. I do not know exactly what the date is today. Oh, here it is. It is July 23rd, 2025. It is a Wednesday evening for us. And welcome to our review of another wonderful DC animated film, Justice League Throne of Atlantis. Wonderful film. I really enjoyed watching it. I'm Jeff S., aka TrueKnowledge. I'm the co-host of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, and with me on the guest panel this evening, my co-host Cyberneticshark, veteran content creator and YouTuber. What's up, Cyber? How are you, sir? Were you impressed by that awesome story that Will started the show off with? Wasn't that an awesome intro?
I am okay, sir. And of course, it was a fantastic story because it was about the Jersey area. Because what's not better than the Jersey area? I mean, come on. Are we going to Secaucus? I mean, where are we going here, folks? We got to go to New Jersey for Secaucus. But anyways, yes, I am good. I am good. Great story.
What was that? What is that show that's in Jersey with the animated show with the milkshake and the French fries and fucking
What show is that?
The meatball guy and that.
Oh, the Aqua. I know you're talking.
Aqua Teen, Hunger Force. Yeah, Hunger Force. Yeah, fucking A, man. They're awesome. They're out in Jersey. Anyway, really? Yeah, they're from Jersey. They're some like some made up place in Jersey is where they're supposed to be out of. But anyways, that's Honorable Pop Culture Guy, veteran content creator, and joining us for 2 shows in a row. We're so blessed. Will from the Boardwire podcast. What's up, Will?
Good to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me on again to keep talking about our favorite movies and TV shows.
You got your hat on and everything, so you're good to go now. That's awesome. So, anyways, folks, we're rocking out another DC animated film. I'm not sure exactly what number we're at here. In our chronological review, trip down the DC animated universe. But essentially, this film was released in January 13th of 2015. So 10 years ago, not that long ago. Yeah. Let's see. The voice cast features Jason O'Mara, Christopher Gorham, Sean Astin, Shamar Moore, Stephen Blum, George Newbern, and Melanie Berger.
Legends.
While Nathan Fillion reprises his role as Hal Jordan, and yes, all that good stuff. So, gentlemen, Will, since you are technically, our guest, what are your thoughts overall on this film?
Well, first, I'd like to just start with the cast. What a stellar cast! I mean, I don't feel like we talk often enough about what the actors that DC gets for its animated movies and things. Like there's a generation of people that know Mark Hamill's voice. They would recognize his voice as Joker before they would recognize it as Luke Skywalker, because he's done so many DC animated movies and left such a great performance. I know that seems like a crazy take, but I mean, like, you know, a lot of younger people that grew up with like the DC animated movies. But and if you look at this cast, I mean, Nathan Fillion is continuing to play a Green Lantern right now in theaters. Granted, he's playing Guy Gardner, but he does an excellent job as Hal Jordan. I love Shamar Moore from Criminal Minds. I think is what I knew him from most of the time. He also has an interesting role in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But he does a great job as Victor Stone Cyborg. And I love how they tend to use a lot of the same actors again, so that way they can get those same voice performances. And they use a lot of characters that end up playing other characters in the DCEU or other DC projects. Like Harry Lennox voiced David Hyde or Black Manta, and he played Martian Manhunter in Man of Steel. Technically, he played the General. He wasn't playing Martian Manhunter, but he was the General in Man of Steel. And then in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we saw him be Martian Manhunter. And Kahari Payton, like the TV show I grew up on was Teen Titans. So like when I need to go to sleep for comfort, I hear Kahari Payton's voice as Cyborg. That is my childhood right there. And he in this film played John Henry Irons, but he also voiced Aqualad in Young Justice. So it's really cool how like the DC animated universe, it does so well bringing a lot of different characters together and different actors. Michael Rosenbaum, he had a small role as the Drift Leader, but of course people know him as Lex Luthor from Smallville. So I love that cohesiveness to the DC universe, because it really can tell. It feels like they want actors who are passionate about DC projects, and we get that through their performances in all of these animated films. And so where the DCEU didn't quite land, I think the DCAU really hit in a lot of ways as far as cohesiveness, as far as acting performances. It kind of was what we wanted the DCEU to be, right? But we just never got, right?
I think we've been having that conversation for a long time now, Will.
And even when we compare it to Marvel animated shows and TV, like I don't think there's a Marvel animated show or movie that even touches DC. And I'm a Marvel guy. Like I'm typically a Marvel guy. I'm like, my favorite DC animated show, Teen Titans, easy. Next, Young Justice. Nothing in Marvel even comes close. I think about my favorite DC animated movies. I love Justice League Doom. Love it. Cannot think of a Marvel animated superhero movie that comes close if we're excluding the Spider-Verse from Sony. So, yeah, I guess I said to say this is a fantastic movie. And I mainly really love the cast, and I thought the cast gave fantastic performances.
Okay, thanks, Will. I appreciate that. Was very educational, and I enjoyed hearing that. A lot of good information there, and definitely agree with a lot of your points too. Without question, I think that I don't think for whatever reason Marvel animation just never got to the point, the level that DC animated did. You know what I'm saying? They just, for whatever reason, it never took off like that. You know, you know what I'm saying? The closest they probably came was probably that one Avengers show that they came out with during the peak of the MCU. You know, we've talked about that show before, Andres. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about Assemble.
Yeah, Avengers Assemble. Yeah, that was all right for a couple seasons. You know. But then it kind of fell off too, you know, after a while. But Andres, what are your thoughts, sir, on anything you want to bounce off of what Will said? And what are your thoughts on this film?
Yeah. So this is our 22nd DC AMU movie review. So that's kind of crazy. I fairly enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's as good as some of the other DC directed views that we've seen. Just personally for me, I just question why we need to call this Justice League the Throne of Atlantis. Like, I feel like this should have been like a simple Aquaman solo like direct-to-video. Like I don't have a problem having just a central Aquaman, because Aquaman is kind of cool character. You know, I always like him. So it's weird to have the Justice League here, but you know, we'll get into the review. And just picking up where Will was talking about the animation for Marvel, I do agree. Yeah, Marvel just never really took serious about the animation. They did have good TV shows, I have to say. They had good TV shows. I mean, it wasn't like as high as the DC AU, you know. But I do need to give a shout out to, you know, Spectacular Spider-Man and the one Avengers show a lot of people love, and people bring it up, is Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes. Like that's the one that like people talk, that's the highest quality in terms of Marvel has produced. You know, and you know, let's not forget X-Men 97 came out, so that's another one that they did well. So you know, it's just always here and there. You know, is when we get that rare good superhero show, they nailed it. Yeah, I gotta say, I thought this was better. So I gotta say, this movie is better than Doom, the first Justice League Doom in this continuity. Because you know, we got rid of like the setup of the team, you know, typical, you know, superhero team up. You know, one-on-one. So it was really interesting to see where our characters were. There's some voice actors I don't care. I think the Batman actor who voiced him is kind of the weakest we have. Because I mean, I agree with you, Will. Like they've been feeling great Green Lantern voice. He's always great. We reviewed his like 2 other Green Lantern movies that we did here. It was, you know, he was the best part about that. Yeah, and there were some that I do like. I like Cyborg's voice because, you know, he's great in Criminal Minds, and you know, Morgan, the actor, and of course his other show SWAT. So yeah, overall great movie. Nothing perfect. It's not a perfect movie, but it was definitely a step up from Justice League Doom. But at the same time, it's like I just think there's too much going on in the movie, and like I like some of the voice actors, but there's some that are very weak. So that's my opinion on this part of the movie.
All right, Cyber, anything you want to bounce off of these gentlemen really quick on the panel, and what were your thoughts on Justice League Sword of Atlantis, sir?
This movie, it's got an interesting story. It's got a great voice cast, like everyone has kind of mentioned. But overall, I wasn't a huge fan of the animation. I don't like the underwater sequences at all. The glare was just horrible, and you could barely see it correctly, I felt. Especially if you have the sun glaring in on your TV, it does not blend very well at all. So, you know, unfortunately, my curtain is not fully there, you know, because I'm missing a couple shingles. So unfortunately I had a glare, and so it did not help it at all. It was not very visually fun, especially during the aquatic sequences, because they put like almost like it's like a shade on it. And I'm like, why? That was just stupid. But other than that, I thought it was an okay movie. It's decent. It's not the greatest, not my favorite, but overall I think it was okay.
Okay. Short and sweet, Cyber. Nothing wrong with that, sir. You know, similar to some of my recent sexual encounters, you know, in length of time, you know what I'm saying? When you're out of practice, sometimes that happens, you know? So what is up with Wonder Woman and Superman being together and like being a couple in this arc of DC animated films? Like is that something that they borrowed from the comics or something like that or whatever? Yes. And now they're like, you know, doing it in the films or whatever?
Yeah, well, it was so we're in the New 52. If you don't know what it is, it's just a new run of the comic books. And during that time, they made Wonder Woman and Superman together. So that was going on. But later on, you know, Lois and Clark became a thing. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. Because, I mean, I've seen DC animated films, you know, like Dark Apocalypse War, you know, where they're,
you know.
Lois
is together, yeah. So right now they're doing that thing where they're like starting out the relationship, which makes sense because starting from Doom, because all these directed views, except for a couple, they're going to be directed like adapting the New 52 storyline and all that, and character designs. Like the new Batman stuff that we're going to discuss, like Batman versus Robin, is directly adapting the New 52 Batman storylines.
Okay.
We're
Yeah,
gonna see the Court of Battles.
Dark Apocalypse War was as my introduction to DC animated films was something else. I'll tell you that right now. Like I told you before, Andres, I caught it on YouTube. Like it was a bootleg on YouTube. It was not even like a good version of it. It was kind of distorted a little bit. But I still watched it, and I thought it was amazing. I loved it. The other thing I didn't understand, I'm trying to understand too, is so I'm not like the biggest DC lore kind of person out there. I never really got into DC comics, more of a Marvel Comics fan as a kid and all that. What's up with Wonder Woman appearing to be able to fly in this film? I've seen her almost fly before in other DC animated films. Can she just jump like Hulk does in the comics, where he flies from jumping? Is that how she flies? Because she can't actually fly.
No, she can. I mean,
the comics are kind of different on that. Like, I've seen comics where she just flies, and I've seen animated TV shows. Like, I think Justice League, the animated series, she could just fly. Yeah. Like the one with Jon Stewart as Green Lantern back in the day, she could just fly. And then in other continuities and things, she can't. So it's kind of a gray area. Like, the best way I can compare it to is like in 2015 Fantastic Four. I know we don't like to talk about that, but Miles Teller, his portrayal of Reed Richards, he could stretch his face so much to where he could literally turn into other people and look like other people. And he did that in the 2015 Fantastic Four. In the comics, that's not a power he traditionally uses very often, but he has done it before. So, and there have been other characters who could stretch, and they end up using their power to stretch to just resemble somebody else, kind of Mystique-like. I don't know how it works for someone who has like a different complexion. Like Jeff, I don't know how you'd be able to stretch your face to get it as black as mine. I don't know how that would work, but apparently it's a thing that people with stretchy powers can sometimes do.
I don't know, sir. So someone told me one time that apparently that spraying black paint on your face if you're white, you know what I'm saying, and then putting yourself out in front of the camera is usually not a good idea. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. That's a good choice. Yeah. So
it doesn't go well for you overall. You know what I'm saying, with the general public.
I think the only thing I could say is on the question of can Wonder Woman fly? Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's just
okay. Yes, because she definitely was. She was fucking flying in this movie. I saw her that one scene that she was flying, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on with Wonder Woman flying right now?" You know what I mean? Like she was flying right next to Superman. Superman was flying. You know what I mean? Green Lantern was flying, and Wonder Woman was flying, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah, it's such a frustrating thing with Wonder Woman. Like, because sometimes they will because if she's using the invisible jet, then she doesn't fly. But if she's not going to use the invisible jet,
I saw her fly in another DC animated film that we reviewed, but she was like gliding almost. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like she was like kind of coasting. You know what I mean? Like off of jumping off a plane or something. Or whatever. You know what I mean?
What was that? It was. I think it was Justice League War or I don't know, Flashpoint or something. I don't know.
I just thought it was something interesting that I picked up and noticed. I was like, "This is strange." You know what I'm saying? Like, since when does Wonder Woman just fly? You know what I mean? Like, I just never really thought she had that power. So, anyways, I'll tell you, this is definitely a bloody film, very bloody, compared to some other DC animated films that we've done. So, all right, as far as the plot goes off of Wikipedia here, while on patrol in the Atlantic, the entire crew of the nuclear submarine USS California is killed by an unknown attacker. At Star Labs, the Justice League's headquarters, Cyborg is given the news by Colonel Steve Trevor. He teleports to the sub via a boom tube, finds handprints on the hull, and discovers that nuclear missiles are missing. And then he basically gets attacked, in the sub, and like has to retreat, and like boom tubes out. So Cyborg, Flash, Shazam, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Batman, eventually, through a scene, through some montages, inspect the recovered California. Diana identifies the enemy as warriors from Atlantis, beings turned into underwater creatures by their king's mythical trident. Batman and Superman decide to meet Atlantis expert Stephen Shin. And we're also, throughout this time period that being described here, we are introduced to Arthur, Aquaman, right? Essentially, right? At some bar, fighting a bunch of motherfuckers, and shit like that, and really getting beat up too. Like, I was like, kind of like shocked at like the level of vulnerability he has, like, because he took some serious blows, like by some lead pipes, during the fight that he was in, and I was surprised he was able to walk away from it as easily as he was able to. So we do get some scenes where it's intermingled that it's mentioned that his father has died, kind of, and we also visit in with Atlantis also, and see his mother, right? Kind of see Atlantis, what it looks like. It doesn't really look very big, to be honest with you. Their depiction of it seems kind of small, to tell you the truth, for me. But we also get introduced to what's her name, Mira.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Aquaman's half brother or whatever. Whatever his name is. Arg or whatever the fuck his name is.
Ocean Master.
Ocean Master. Yeah, Ocean Master. And what's his name? Manta Ray or Mantis? Black Manta. Their team. So we meet them and everything, right? So kind of where where they go to look for Dr. Shin would be like kind of the cutoff. So Cyber, what's your take, sir, on that whole introduction and that whole swath of that kind of third of the film?
So basically, that beginning sequence, I think, is probably not anything to write home about. It was pretty basic. I mean, it was kind of whiny a little bit too at the same time. I was a little surprised, especially with how they're portraying Arthur Curry. And this beginning of this, kind of the third portion of this, movie starts off pretty interesting, but at the same time, kind of on, I don't know, I just didn't care too much for it. It didn't really entice me very much. Like I said, the animation had me already not really big into it, but I mean, getting the introduction to the characters I thought was really fun. And then getting to hear the great voiceovers was really interesting too. And, the whole like dad thing and everything like that, I thought was kind of dumb, about his father being dead and all this kind of stuff and him kind of being a drunk and all that. And I know that's kind of like, if you ever notice anything with Aquaman, usually he drinks a lot for some odd reason. I don't recall that in the comic books that quite often, but that seems to be a running theme, I feel. And so, him like basically getting himself that drunk and so that was kind of interesting. But it's like thinking to myself, I'm like, this animation just like, I don't know, it just drives me nuts. I'm having a hard time focusing on it because of just how I thought the animation looked crappy. And, not unlike, the previous one we just did last week, at least the chicks were pretty interesting and definitely hot. And this, they're not really. And I was kind of saddened by that, especially, Wonder Woman.
What was with all those weird bone, like protruding bones she had in her chest or whatever? What the fuck was going on?
I know. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, who did they put in charge of the drawing? Some, slow, demented person? I don't know. They just did not draw it, I think, as good and accurately as they could have. I just think the artwork could have been better. But I mean, overall, I mean, this beginning section, like I said, the introduction to the characters are pretty decent. Like I said, the voiceovers are absolutely fantastically done. As we mentioned, some of the different people, we had Rosario Dawson, Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion was absolutely obvious right off the get-go, And yeah, I think that the cyborg stuff was kind of interesting because this section we have him where he's like basically having almost like he's in a sleep state, but at the same time he's having a dream where he's normal and he's not a cyborg. And I think that's kind of interesting how they start it right off. He's like, so you want to remove your last functioning lung? And he's like, yeah, might as well, because you know, most of me is freaking cyborg anyways. And I was just like what? I'm like, wouldn't you want to keep that to be a little more human, sir? So I was kind of like, okay, that was kind of interesting. They decided, let's put that into this movie. So I thought that was, you know, a very good start there with Cyborg. But I mean, of course, I always love Flash. Flash is always awesome. Green Lantern is always hilarious too, as well. Batman is Batman, of course, always. Wonder Woman, I think, is unfortunately, I don't think Wonder Woman is as good as she could be in this. But I think all their introductions, even Shazam and everything like that, I thought all of them were pretty decent beginnings. I mean, being introduced to Prince Orm and Black Manta, who we of course are very familiar with from the first Aquaman film and Aquaman 2. Queen Atlantia, who was played by Nicole Kidman, of course, in the live action version. Then, of course, also we have Mira. You know, these are all very familiar characters. And I think that the voiceovers on those I thought were pretty decent too. And their introduction was kind of interesting because it almost felt like this is like more of an Arthur Curry kind of introduction story, kind of like the first Aquaman movie. And that I was a little confused on because this is supposed to be a Justice League film and they just happen to have the other Justice League people in this, but really it's all about Arthur. And I thought that was kind of dumb calling it Justice League when really the main focus is, you know, Aquaman himself. So, you know, okay beginning, okay third of the film, decent introductions, great voiceovers. Other than that, I wasn't really impressed with anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop a Danny Award on that, like having the Diana having those weird like bone protrusions, whatever the fuck that was, or whatever during the film. That was really fucking weird. I don't know what was going on with that, but like I did not understand that. I saw that when I was watching the film, and I'm like, what is going on with that? Will, sir, what are your thoughts on that same section of the film that Cyber was just discussing, sir?
So I don't know if I want to save some of my thoughts towards the end. I think I agree with you. I don't really know why this is a Justice League movie, but I'll get into that more towards the end in the third act because that'll be a little bit more applicable. As far as the beginning of this movie, it's like when I saw this movie, I had already seen Aquaman, and I was like, wow, so they literally just kind of did Aquaman origin story, like with Atlantis wants to war on the surface. Orm is trying to start a war with people on the surface. And Aquaman is a drunkard somewhere that has to go back to Atlantis to stop him. And then I realized this movie came out in 2015. So Aquaman did this movie because it was first. Like when they did Aquaman in 2018, they were really just doing this movie just without the rest of the Justice League in it. And I'm of the rare opinion that the DCEU would have been so much better if Aquaman came out in 2016 or 2015, something like that. I think the reason why a lot of us really enjoy Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League is because we had already seen Aquaman. And while it sounds like, I know it's kind of a crazy take, and it doesn't sound like it should affect it that much, and we won't ever really, really know unless we can like erase Aquaman from our eyes. I'm not saying Aquaman is a fantastic film, but with Josh Whedon's Justice League, you introduce too many characters without us knowing about them or knowing their personalities for us to really get connected to the team. You introduced Batman, you introduced Superman, barely introduced Batman, kind of and gave us Wonder Woman, and then threw in Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg, and then we had Justice League. I think understanding a lot more about where Aquaman comes from and the way that Zack Snyder's Justice League was able to focus on Cyborg more made that film a lot better. And so I think the same thing here, giving us an Aquaman origin story is a really good idea to introduce us, because the lore of Atlantis is really deep in DC lore. So even though for some reason they decided to title it Justice League, Aquaman's story deserves to have its own movie. However, the villain of Justice League of this movie, Throne of Atlantis, is not a Justice League level villain. I will at least say that. And I think they definitely gassed him up to make him be able to fight the Justice League in this movie. I guess I'm kind of getting over to my second point a little bit, but I'm like, even in the comics, Orm is not that good or that strong. Like, I mean, they made him very powerful, and I can understand it, but it's like, because Aquaman ended up being the only one who could defeat him anyway, this really could have just been Aquaman. So I don't think it really made sense to try to involve all the Justice League in it, because all they did was try to make Orm seem more powerful, and it wasn't really necessary because Aquaman still had to defeat him. He still was the only one that could defeat him. And I don't see it being real. Well, we'll get to that point in a little bit. I have to cut myself off before I get ahead of myself. But that's kind of my thoughts. I definitely agree with Cyber. This is an Aquaman movie, not a Justice League movie. And you really don't need the other Justice League characters in it. But I do think it does a good job of fleshing out the lore of Atlantis and Aquaman, and like where he comes from and why he does what he does.
Will doesn't like the constraints of he's not used to the constraints of not being able to just talk about the whole movie or whatever, or the whole, you know, whatever TV episode or whatever, just in one big shot. You know what I mean? You know, because that's how he does it on the Warm Wire. You know what I'm saying? So
it takes some adjusting. You know, it takes some adjusting.
I appreciate you displaying so much patience, sir. You know, I know that being on the panel does take some getting used to sometimes. So, Andre, sir, round us out here before we jump on to our next section of the film.
Yeah, sure. Quickly, before I do anything, the Twin Aqua Force were in New Jersey, South Jersey, but apparently they changed their location to Seattle, Washington. So just so you guys know, just want to double check.
They may have changed their location at one point, because I think they rebooted the show at one point, they brought it back in like 2020 or like 2018 or something like that. Like you know, like after it got canceled, they brought it back. I know, for like a season or two. You know.
Like around 2023 they brought it back.
Okay, yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, it's a good show. I used to watch that as a kid. Was it Tsunami?
Adult Swim. Yeah, Adult Swim.
Sorry, Adult Swim.
What do you call it? Saturday night cartoon Tsunami or whatever the fuck they call it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I used to watch that.
Tsunami.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That was the one, because I remember that, because that's when Samurai Jack was airing that time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All the good anime ends up on Adult Swim. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, good times. So getting back to Aquaman, I agree with everyone here. It's the same thing with the Flashpoint movie. That's a Flash movie and not a Justice League movie. And so it's weird that they're calling this a Justice League thing. The fact that we're focusing on this one Justice League member, which is funny. That's AKA Aquaman. But at the same time, I was double checking this because, this line of movies are based on New 52. I mean, this was crossing, the storyline they're adapting, the Throne of Atlantis, was crossing over the Justice League comic book and the Aquaman storyline in 2012 and 2013 during that New 52 run. So it made sense why they had the Justice League there. But there were just other characters they had, but they didn't include here. Just briefly, Green Arrow and Satana and Firestorm and Hawkman were involved in this storyline, but they didn't use them in this movie. So it's very different. If you saw the 2018, Aquaman movie with Jason Momoa, this is literally that film, but just different, different storylines. Of course, Black Manta is not from Atlantis. I mean, not always, he's always the human dweller that hates Aquaman. So it was kind of cool how this movie kind of made him be a little bit part of the Atlantis society. That's kind of cool. And then Orm, Ocean Master, great villain. I like the one for Patrick Wilson. He's great. And of course the mom is here. That's the big thing in the first movie. But instead of faking her death in the first film. Here, like she literally dies, which is crazy.
Who did Amber Heard play in Aquaman?
She played Mirror. Yeah,
She played Mira. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the major love interest for Aquaman.
I was just watching some recaps from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial last night when they tried to say that Johnny Depp made her lose her role in Aquaman. You know,
right? I saw the second film, folks. She's there, but she's barely in the film. Like she gets like hurt and she's barely in the whole film. And she comes back towards the end, and that's it. You know, like it wasn't a big deal.
The second one, they just did Aquaman again, but they just replaced her with Orm. That's the second Aquaman movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I walked out on Aquaman 2 in the theater with my son. We just walked out after like the first 15 minutes of it or whatever. It was so bad. I walked out, and I loved the first one, but that second one, oh my god, man,
it's bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, you were lucky. Because my friend, my best friend, his birthday was in December, so I had to go with him to see Aquaman 2, and I was like, oh my god, it's like this is the end of the DCU, and this is what we get. Anyway, so the beginning is okay. It's like very slow, you know. Like I thought initially we got the Justice League beat the Justice League, but instead, typical super thing. They're separated, from what they're like, they have their lives and they have their cities to protect. So I get that, particularly Batman. I get that. But I agree with Cyber. I really like the storyline with Cyborg. I love Cyborg. Victor Stone, great character. Love him from Teen Titans as a kid. I never understood why he's in the Justice League, but same time, it's like he's a great character. You can do a lot of things with him. So I care about his storyline here. Yes, it's weird about like he wants to take out his lungs, but at the same time it's like he's now a half enhanced superhero, so like he's almost like losing his humanity, and so that's why I like towards the end and get into it, like he's trying to regain that a little bit. That's a good like storyline to build up. Yeah, the rest of the ones is like okay, what's that character, what's the other member, Shazam. He's so annoying. I get he's a kid, but sometimes I'm like, how old are you? Like, are you 10 or 12? Like, how? Like, I was never like. I mean, I don't know. I was like that, but I was always like controlled. Sometimes, and I don't know how giddy he is. As a kid being a superhero. It was weird, and then the whole Wonder Woman Superman thing not getting together, forming a relationship makes sense. It's a thing. I'm not against it. I mean, these two are the most powerful, superhumans in DC universe. So it's kind of unique that they're going to get together. I like that scene when Lois meets her and she's wearing the same glasses. And I like the joke. It's like no one noticed them, because like how you don't notice Clark Kent with the glasses and that's Superman, It's like that stuff is good. But yeah, the beginning is okay. I thought the Arthur Terry, like the Aquaman stuff was so intriguing because I was like, this is a version I haven't seen at all. Him losing his dad, which is really sad. And like at first I didn't know that was Aquaman until you saw the knife, one of those douchey people stabby at him, and then it breaks because his skin is like very unpenetrable, and I was like, oh, that's Aquaman. That's good.
If he's impenetrable, then why does he get cut and shit like that like other times? You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, well, I wish they addressed this. So the first Aquaman movie did this really good. They say that the Atlanta technology, the Atlanta weapons and stuff, those are the ones that will cut like Aquaman and them, because they have something more powerful.
The steel has been
Yeah.
in the deep for so long
Yeah.
that because his skin is designed to withstand heavy depths,
Yeah.
so that's why they designed steel designed to puncture that kind of skin.
Yeah, and if you remember in the first Aquaman movie, Ocean Master told Black Manta, look, because the reason you couldn't take him down is because your weapons were weak. So here, I'm going to give you Atlanta technology where that can easily beat him down. So that's why I was surprised they didn't address that in the movie. Like, just say this one line, look, our weapons can defeat our this half breed. That's Aquaman. He's half breed, and because it's much more ancient and like it's connected to us, all that. So that's why,
Yeah, because he was taking some blows like with that in that fight he was in. Like he was getting hit with a lead pipe, or whatever, like right on his spine and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like like really like hard. You know what I mean? Like and I'm like, what the fuck? You know?
And true. And the what do you call it? The Trian that Ocean Master has and his mom has, like those are lethal too, and they're very ancient. They have powers, so they can easily defeat Aquaman. So yeah, just wrapping up. I thought the beginning is okay, very slow. Just getting like familiar to like what's the plot about this movie about, and this is where I felt like the second half is much better because it's like, okay, everyone is like in the same page, and Aquaman is getting to be Aquaman, which is cool. But I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's okay beginning.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody on the panel. So, in Atlantis, Prince Orm and Black Manta meet with Orm's mother, Queen Atlanta, where they argue over declaring war on the humans. Orm blames the Justice League for his father's death, while Queen Atlanta blames Darkseid. Orm wishes to attack first, but Atlanta silences him and asks Mira to bring Arthur Curry, her other son, to Atlantis. Black Manta uses a craft disguised as a Navy submarine to attack Atlantis using the stolen missiles to frame the humans. Batman and Superman locate Shin's home and his destroyed research. Superman finds a photograph of Curry and a letter revealing that Arthur is half Atlantean. Shin meets Arthur, but he is killed by Atlantean soldiers sent by Black Manta. Arthur is blasted out of his collapsing house. Mira saves him and dispatches the soldiers using her hydrokinetic powers. All right, so I'll go right back to you, Andres. What's your thoughts on that section, sir?
Okay. Well, okay. So, this part is where I got like, this is where I was like very Aquaman. Like, no kidding. There were like similar things happening, and I try not to go too far with the comparisons, but like obviously the sub attacking the Atlantis, that's something that Orm does in the first live action movie to trick the Dolph Lundgren's character to draw him and build up the army against the dwellers. And so this plan makes a lot of sense for Ocean Master. Like, okay, let me trick the queen that the dwellers of the surface is attacking us. So that was really interesting, especially Black Manta is doing that. I would like the twist that the guy next to Orm was Black Manta. That was really cool. I was like, and great voice actor, as Will brought up. He's actually the best actor voicing Black Manta. He's such a perfect like menace to this character. Dr. Singh, he's a character we've seen in the DCAU. He was played by Randall Park in the two Aquaman movies. So when I saw Dr. Singh coming, it was taking the photos, I was like, oh, that's Dr. Singh, who was played by Randall Park in the live action. Very intriguing. I like the idea, like the dad was trying to find the mom and having this like Atlantis enthusiast, to find some theory or where he could find her. That was kind of intriguing, and I like how the plot thinkings where like Orm is really like hatching his plan, trying to get the war against the surface dwellers, right away. And I like the connection to the last movie, that's saying that the Justice League and the parademons were the reason that the dad got killed, and so that's a really good like villain like motivation. So that's good. I do agree with Jeff. You brought up the like Atlantis design. Like one of the great things about animation is like you could do whatever you want. You can make a big like world, and like you don't get enough like area of the Atlantis. Like I want to see like how they like houses and stuff like that. It's like you barely get to know Atlantis, and you don't see too much like sea creatures, in the film. You know, I kind of wish we got more of that. Like that's the one great thing about the Aquaman movies. It's like they're so big with their imagination. Like their worlds is like so realized. You know, like when I saw Atlantis, in the live action one, like it was big and it looked cool. You know, like neon light, like it was cool. And this is just, it's kind of lame. And it's like you don't know what's going on. As I even say before, like the lighting here is like too dark. And it's like you're in a dark sea. You need to have some light and something to like I can see something. And they had a trouble with that, but like you need some light in during this scene. So I thought the Atlantis depiction of this world wasn't like as imaginative as they were trying to do, and that's really sad. You know, and you know the character designs of these characters. I actually like the Aquaman costume design here. I actually really like it. It's not New 52, but I like how it's like classic Aquaman with the gold and green design, because sometimes you know people are afraid of that design. I like that, you know, the New 52 they embrace it, and sometimes they do the Peter David design where he has the harpoon hand that I remember from the Justice League run in the animation show. What else? I gotta say, one thing that this movie has better over the live action Aquaman is Mira. I like Mira here than the movies. I mean, no offense. Well, actually, F ever heard. She was not good as an actress and as Mira. And so I thought this Mira was badass, and she was like very nice to Aquaman here. Like I like their chemistry. Like I like they were developing their relationship slowly, which is good. I like how they display her powers, you know, of controlling water. So she was the best like highlight during the second half, her trying to get Arthur to meet up with the Queen. And just wrapping up, I was shocked with Arm, Ocean Master, killing the mom, like through the chest. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. And so that made me really like, all right, I want Aquaman to beat his ass because he is a very annoying, you know, frick son who wants to take over the world and destroy us human dwellers, as he calls us. So yeah, I think the second part was better than the first half because there was more action here. I do agree the animation is not good as some of the other DC animation, but at least some of the action is like adorable. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the second half.
All right, thank you, sir. Cyber.
All right. So this sequence, you know, kind of gives us more thoughts on Orm, on Queen Atlanta, Mira, and you know, kind of gives you a vibe of kind of where Orm is coming from. Just like Will was mentioning earlier, it basically mimics Aquaman 1 to the T. I mean, it's exactly like what happens. He wants to frame the humans and stuff like that. And so I'm like watching it going, am I just watching Aquaman 1 again? Like, I mean, this came out before Aquaman 1 did, but I'm like, am I literally watching Aquaman here? Like, did James Wan and the writers of Aquaman go, hey, I saw this Justice League Throne of Atlantis. Let's use that storyline for that movie. And I was like, thinking of myself, I'm like, what the hell is it? I'm like, why are we doing an Arthur Cruz story here for this Justice League film? And I'm kind of like, well, you know, shouldn't he already be established? Shouldn't he just already be Aquaman? And I was kind of like, this whole situation here, this whole section, I was like, I feel like I'm just rewatching Aquaman. And I was kind of disappointed with that because I was expecting a little more out of it. And, you know, I think that, you know, we get some interesting kind of things going on here. I mean, the mention of dark side, which is really awesome. I love that. You know, Black Manta has his action sequence here where we get the battle at, you know, Arthur's house. And I think that whole thing is quite interesting, especially when Mira shows up and uses her hydrokinetic powers. You know, I think that that's very action packed and makes it somewhat enjoyable. Other than that, I thought this section, there was really nothing that much I cared for, except for that I was rewatching the original Aquaman film. And, you know, I think that this coming out 3 years prior to that movie coming out, if I believe, if I remember correctly, this is not my first time watching this. I actually watched this, like, I think right after Aquaman had come out. So I think that overall, I was kind of watching this going, hey, I just watched Aquaman in theaters, and now I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm basically watching Aquaman again. So I think it's interesting that that same storyline is being used. You know, so I think they did an okay job here with the fight sequence. I thought it was not too shabby. And I think overall it was okay. Nothing spectacular, nothing that great, but a decent bit of information to progress the story along.
Okay, sir. Will.
So I'm like, I feel bad because I'm like, I feel like we're gonna end up reviewing the 2018 Aquaman while we review this movie, but it's like that's what this movie was, or I guess that's what Aquaman 2018 was. And I think the main difference, really the only difference between the two, is the Justice League and Atlanta's role. And I will say that I think I actually thoroughly enjoyed the 2018 Aquaman movie. I think if you remove some of the campiness, the plot is fine. If you remove some of the stupid campy jokes that didn't really make any sense, you have a much better movie, and a movie that's actually worthy of $1 billion gross. But other than all of that, I think it makes a lot more sense what they did in the Aquaman movie, because in Throne of Atlantis, they don't really explain why Queen Atlanta just has a son named Arthur out there in the world. They don't really explain why now she's like, oh, I want to bring him in. Like, it's just kind of like convenience for the plot. And I think Aquaman did a good job of explaining it. It's like, well, she was running away from a marriage, had an affair, had a baby. He's kind of a bastard, you know, according to the way that they did it. And I think that origin story for why Arthur Curry grew up on land instead of sea made a lot more sense in Aquaman, because in Throne of Atlantis, they just don't address it. They don't tell us why is Arthur Curry over here on the land instead of being raised in the sea. Why is he half human if his mom is Atlantis? Like, why is Orm fully Atlantean? Like, we just never get that explanation. So I think in that way, the Aquaman movie, I would say I like the Aquaman movie better than this one in Throne of Atlantis. I just think this one kept a much more consistent tone. I think Aquaman struggled a lot with how serious versus how campy they wanted to be. And I can say Throne of Atlantis knows exactly what it is. It knows exactly what style it's going for, and it knows exactly what tone it wants to maintain throughout the entire movie. So I would say that's definitely a nod in its direction over Aquaman compared to this one. But like you said, I love the dark side connection in this movie. You know, I love how they really did feel like they were trying to build it up into a universe. Again, I'm one of the odd opinions that I'm like, the mother boxes that Zack Snyder had suggested was a really organic way to bring the Justice League together. Like, imagine if we had an end credit scene at the end of Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, all about the mother boxes. So instead of having to like have Batman build the team, they all just come together because Steppenwolf takes the mother boxes from Atlantis, Themyscira, and Star Labs, and they all have to work together in order to get them back. Like, the team just comes together naturally because they couldn't defeat him alone. And of course, that only works though if Aquaman came out before Justice League. So again, I think there was a good story in there. And again, it does feel like we're still kind of reviewing Aquaman, but I mean, that's what this movie is. Throne of Atlantis is just like Aquaman 2018. But that would be my main thing that this film has going for it. It knows what tone it wants. And I think the plot makes sense. They just don't really explain, why is Arthur Curry half human? Why is he in the world of man instead of being in Atlantis like Orm? So those are my thoughts on that.
All right. Thank you, Will. Okay, so getting back to the film, citizens of Atlantis and Orm demand war following the attack on Atlantis, though Atlanta disagrees. Arthur wakes up with gills on his neck in underwater Atlantean ruins. Mira explains that Atlanta is his mother, though as a royal, Atlanta could not be with his father or Arthur. Now Atlanta believes Arthur can help bridge the gap between the two worlds, the surface world and the underwater world, obviously. Mira dresses him in the king's royal garb, though Arthur leaves wearing only the orange and green Atlantean bodysuit, which is like, essentially his natural, original, I guess, suit from the comics, I think, his natural look. They're attacked by the trench at the surface. The creatures overwhelm Arthur, and the League helps defeat the trenchers. The Black Manta reports to Orm that the trench failed to kill Arthur. And the trench are like these like fucking weirdo alien fucking creatures or whatever that existed in the underwater before Atlantis ever became existed or whatever, right? And they I think they had a version of them in Aquaman, in the movie, didn't they?
Yes, they did. That's the big sequence everyone talks about. That's the best thing about the movie.
So when Orm and Atlanta argue over starting a war, she reveals that she knows he attacked Atlantis. Orm stabs her to death in the bloody fucking scene from behind and takes over as the new king of Atlantis. Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Cyborg, Arthur, and Mira learn of Atlanta's death once in Atlantis. Orm, now using the mantle Ocean Master, uses the trident to restrain the team in pods. The group is sent to be consumed by the monstrous Dark Trench, while Ocean Master leads Atlantis' army to the surface. Arthur taps into the power of the trident to destroy his pod. With Superman's help, they save the rest and defeat the monster. A massive tidal wave conceals the Atlantean army's arrival in Metropolis. Superman saves John Henry Irons, and Wonder Woman saves Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. Black Manta attacks Arthur and reveals that he wants to overthrow Ocean Master to take Atlantis for himself. Arthur summons a shark to attack him, well, to eat him, basically. And I'll stop there. Cyber, I'll go to you first, sir. What's your take on that? That's a pretty big chunk I gave you right there to work with. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, once again, going back to it, I basically watching 2018 Aquaman. It was hilarious because it just seemed so much like, wow, it's like, how much of Aquaman did it take from this when this got released 3 years prior? But the whole thing with the trench, I love the trench. I like the whole creatures from the trench. I think that's such a great idea. And I think visually in this, they weren't too shabby looking. I thought they looked pretty decent. The sequence was okay. It was kind of, interesting what was going on there. And, Arthur being, basically, stopped by them, I think was interesting. And, the killing of, Atlanta, like you said, it was very bloody, which was really shocking for this animated film. I mean, so much blood, but at the same time, it's like, you got to get the hard PG-13, man. So, I think it's
a gory PG-13, Cyber.
Yeah, they, want to go for that, thing. And one thing about animation, because it's considered 100% fake, they can pretty much go that way. So I think that, definitely killing her off, that kind of sucks. Unlike, in the actual live action film from 2018, she does not get killed. Instead of, she's down in the trench. But at the same time, I was kind of like, wow, they went dark here. They went, they had Orm go real dark. And Orm finally calling himself Ocean Master was really cool. I like that. But then Black Manta saying that he wanted to take over Atlantis, I'm like, of course he does. He's a super villain. What do you expect from it? Which, definitely differentiated a little bit from the Aquaman movie. So that was nice to see something a little different that, changed itself from, that storyline being used. I love that they have Arthur wearing the orange and green Atlantean bodysuit. I love that. I think that makes him very much Aquaman. So I did appreciate that. And I think that that is one of the few things I find really comic book accurate for this film that I enjoyed. Then this whole situation where they have to basically save the people in Metropolis, I think, was really fun. I think that was very entertaining. John Henry Irons being saved by Superman, Wonder Woman saving Lois and Jimmy. I think that was really cool. I think that, the whole Monstrous Stark Trench thing was really cool. I think that, there's a lot of great things about Aquaman universe that are really fun. And they definitely dive deep in that with this Aquaman film. And, I think that overall, this whole section, there's quite a bit of great action. And I think that made it more entertaining for me. And that actually brought me back into wanting to watch it more. So I think that this section's pretty decent and I enjoyed it. I think it had a lot of great visuals in this section, had some interesting storylines, and, gives us more of, Orm, becoming Mr. Ocean Master, the confinement of the Justice League in the pods and stuff like that were kind of interesting. And getting to see Arthur officially kind of become in tune with his powers, you got to see here too, which I thought was really cool. So pretty decent sequence, not too shabby, definitely a better portion of the film.
Okay, Cyber, thank you, sir. I just want to put it out there really quick. I hadn't mentioned it earlier, but the budget for this film was $3.5 million. So that was the total budget for Throne of Atlantis, Justice League Throne of Atlantis. All right, let's go over to Andres, the pop culture guy, sir. What are your thoughts on that big chunk I just threw out there for you?
Okay, it was great to see the Justice League be underwater. By the way, question. I this was kind of confusing. I get Cyborg breathing into the water because I also I see him.
Yeah. How do they breathe underwater? Yeah.
That was like my biggest nitpick. Like Superman doesn't. Some versions of Superman he can breathe in space, but something he does need like a suit to breathe in space.
Yeah, but how did fucking Wonder Woman breathe underwater?
I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's my one big nitpick. It's like some of these, like Green Lantern, I get he can breathe because his power ring protects him from oxygen, and because if he's paying attention, the light from his whole body is like energy that protects him from bullets and all that. I get Green Lantern and Cyborg, but then the rest of the team, I'm like, how the hell are you breathing? Batman has go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I was agreeing. That's a good question.
Oh, yeah. So that part, I was like, what the hell is going on? Because, besides the Atlantis and, Green Lantern and Cyborg, they have the Justice League, just mainly, Flash, Flash and Wonder Woman and Superman not breathing was kind of weird. But whatever. I thought that, the mom dying was a bit not something I was expecting. I thought her death was very shocking and just really made you not like Ocean Master. And then I thought that I thought the Kraken creature looked decent. I thought, by the way, the costume for Ocean Master is pretty much comic accurate. I still prefer the one from the live action one. I do agree with Cyber. It's kind of weird we're doing the origin story for Aquaman during this time, but it's whatever. And also I just had to remind people Jeff Johns was heavily involved in the DC films, and the characters that he was most associated with was either the Flash, Aquaman, or Green Lantern. And so I was not surprised that the Aquaman movie was gonna adapt this because he did the run of the New 52 Aquaman, and so they were looking at that. So they made a lot of sense why that movie copied so much of what we were seeing in this movie. So I was just not shocked about that. And if Jeff Johns, he was a big guy in DC. I don't know, he's no longer there, but he wrote a lot of big major stuff for Aquaman, Flash, and Green Lantern, especially Green Lantern. So after that, it was great to see Aquaman saving the Justice League. And he it was great to see him telepathically starting to you see the circles coming from Super Friends, he was telepathing the Aminos. That was really great. And so seeing our Justice League members trying to stop the army attacking Metropolis was really cool. It was great to see the dad Lois Lane's dad, General Lane. So that was a very cool cameo there. It was really cool how to see like the power of the Triton was like the fact that he opened like a big a big wave for the army to walk through the surface. That was a cool moment. I kind of liked that. And yeah, this scene, the characters saving a bunch of characters that are going to be featured things. Like, I was surprised they had John Henry Allen's Steel here. That was cool to set up that, because I like Steel as a character. So it was nice to see that. Very cool to see Wonder Woman saving Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. But my favorite part was Black Manta getting, like, chopped up by the shark by Arthur. He was making his, like, evil monologue. He's like, ha, you see, Aquaman, because of your brother petty against you and your half-breed. After that, I'm gonna betray him and I'm gonna do this, and then all of a sudden he does, Aquaman telepath something. It's like, what the hell is telepath? And a shark, like, bam, like, you got the Samuel Jackson deep blue attack. Ha, beat that. Before he even finished his evil monologue, I was like, oh yeah, best moment ever. At least we got that moment. We didn't get that in the Aquaman movie, so at least that's great. Oh, that was great. But yeah, so I enjoyed the second half. Well, at least we got more action here. It was really cool. It was great to see like our characters using their powers a little more. The only nitpick I had is like, what the hell? Some of these characters who cannot breathe in water, like, were able to breathe. I think I missed something when I was watching it, but that's all I have to say about the second half.
All right, Will, wrap us up on this one.
Ooh, so many things to think about and say. So again, it's kind of hard to compare, because I will say that like Aquaman 2018 did get a head start. So it's hard to be like, well, Aquaman did all these things better, because again, Throne of Atlantis existed first, so they were able to look at it and see like what worked. Like, I know this is the part where Orm identifies himself as Ocean Master, but I'm telling you, I lost my mind in the theater when Patrick Wilson during Aquaman 2018, when he stabbed that guy, or he did something, and then he was like, "You can call me now, Ocean Master." And like, I would like to that hits. It hits in a different way. And I think that's partly the difference between live action and animation. Some things will just hit in a different way, especially in a theater. But like, I feel like I got chills, and I loved seeing that moment of him, embrace it, being like, I am now the Ocean Master. So again, I think this movie is a very solid Arthur Curry storyline origin story. And I guess earlier I said they didn't really explain why Arthur was half human and Atlanta hadn't spoke to him in all these time. And then I guess they did explain it when they said that that she couldn't have a relationship with his dad because he was a human. So I guess she had to she had a baby and broke up with him, and then felt like she couldn't go back to Arthur until she became a queen. I guess she felt like now he could bridge the gap between the two worlds. I kind of like the reasoning a little bit better in the Aquaman movie about her being sacrificed, because I don't think anything would keep a mother from her child for that long. I think it kind of makes sense that she was literally trapped in the trench and couldn't get out. But otherwise, like I said, still not, and it still was a very shocking moment that she got killed by Orm. And I think that would have been, I will say that I think that would have been more shocking, and that to me would have convinced the Atlanteans in Aquaman, because they were all bloodthirsty and ready to go to war against the humans. They all bought into Orm's vision, and then they just sided with Jason Momoa's Aquaman because he won. So I do agree that the motivation the Atlanteans had for turning on Orm and siding with Arthur Curry was stronger in Throne of Atlantis, because they got to see evidence of Orm killing their queen. So if that had been worked into the Aquaman storyline, would have been a little bit stronger. But basically it was just kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, Orm, we're not gonna try to destroy the world anymore with Orm, because, well, Aquaman showed up with the big shiny trident and beat him, so we gotta follow Aquaman now. Like it gave a little bit more gravitas to that whole why they're no longer gonna follow their king. So I can say that Throne of Atlantis did that better, and that was a better way that they did it. And I really love the contrast between this movie and between Aquaman and Black Panther that both came out in 2018, because in both movies there's an evil guy who wants to use this advanced nation to destroy the rest of humanity, basically, right? Like, it's Killmonger and Orm, pretty much the same motivations, pretty much the same, like, I want to use my nation to destroy the rest of the world. But it's interesting because in Black Panther, Killmonger's the outsider, but in Aquaman, Arthur Curry is the outsider. So, like, if you watch them both in comparison, like, everyone's cheering on Black Panther, T'Challa, when Killmonger comes in, but in Aquaman, everyone's cheering on Orm when Aquaman shows up to try to defeat him. So this is a little thought, but I definitely agree with you guys. I love the golden suit. I love the golden suit that he gets in this movie and as well as Aquaman. And again, to me, I think that should have been the suit he was wearing in Justice League. I think it would have just hit a lot harder. And whether it's Justice League or Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think the biggest fumble the DCU made was just not releasing Aquaman before Justice League. And those are my 2 cents.
All right. Good point, sir. I definitely agree with you on that. And I think that probably would have made a lot more sense too. So, all right. As we wrap this film up, the League and Mira battle Ocean Master with little success. Shazam is transformed back into Billy Batson. Flash, Green Lantern, and Mira are knocked unconscious. Cyborg is almost impaled, electrocuted, and disabled. Wonder Woman is incapacitated by the Trident's electric energy, while Superman is wounded because of its mythical properties. Batman saves Cyborg from dying by electrocuting him with a taser device. Ocean Master is about to kill Arthur when Cyborg broadcasts the video of Ocean Master confessing to his mother's murder for Atlantis' soldiers to hear. Arthur uses the distraction to defeat Ocean Master and convinces the soldiers to stand down and accept him as their king. Arthur is crowned King of Atlantis with the Justice League in the audience. Batman suggests that they need to solidify the team, given the new threats, and Cyborg reveals plans for a watchtower. Arthur joins the League as Aquaman, despite his dislike toward the name, before leaving with Mira to confront the Trenchers. In the post-credits, Orm is incarcerated at Belle Reve and approached by Lex Luthor, who has a proposition for him to consider. So I will go back to you again, Will, for your last thoughts here on the film.
Again, this is my whole point. I think they kind of, maybe I don't know the comics as well on this one, but I definitely think they gassed up Orm to have him take out the entire Justice League.
For real.
Come on. Like, and even Flash, right? Because Flash is in this movie, right? Is he? Let me double check. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the movie. Yeah,
He even beats Flash.
Orm like tripped him. You know what I'm saying? With the fucking with the staff or whatever, he tripped them.
Like, on paper, I could understand, like, you know, the way that he destroyed Billy Batson. He was like, we both called down the lightning, and he zapped him with lightning. Okay. I could understand him defeating Cyborg. That makes sense. Defeating Mara. Okay. Wonder Woman getting shocked. It's a little hard for me, but even that, I could be like, okay, maybe. Superman, you know, he has a weakness to magic. I could see that knocking him out for like a second. So again, maybe, I guess, I think in the film, he like caught his lasers and like just threw it back at him. And it's like, that's kind of like 50-50 for me, because I don't think Orm has the reaction speed to do that to Wonder Woman or Superman. But to me, there's no good reason why he defeated Flash or Green Lantern. I just can't see it. Like, him taking out the entire Justice League, that was a stretch. To me, that was a gas up to make this actually a Justice League movie, because Orm is just one guy. So to me, like, this is the Justice League that, I mean, I guess like they defeated Darkseid in Justice League War, and they're struggling against an Atlantean. You mean to tell me that Aquaman with the Trident could run through the entire Justice League because now he has the same powers of Orm? Come on, no, it's just not So that's my only issue with this movie. Like, I thought it was clever the way that he was like taking out the different members, but I also think it was very unrealistic, and they only did it because they decided to make this a Justice League movie instead of just an Aquaman movie, which is what it should have been. Like, if you take I mean, I guess he would have had a way to, because Cyborg was the one that broadcast that Orm killed their mother. But if you remove the Justice League and just have Aquaman in there, it makes a lot more sense, and it's reasonable onto how Orm was defeated. And it's reasonable that he's not,
they let Cyborg. I don't mean to cut you off, but they let Cyborg do some interesting shit in this movie. I agree. I agree with everybody else's thoughts on him having like a really good, cool role.
Yeah. So he has a good arc in this movie. Again, now that I've seen the Snyder Cut, I will never forgive Joss Whedon for removing all those Cyborg scenes in the Snyder Cut. That is an unforgivable sin right there. But otherwise, for this movie, again, I liked the action. I did like the tease of John Henry Irons, I think, as Steel. I think that was clever. Even having him hit the Atlantean with that steel beam was like a direct reference to him becoming Steel later on in Death of Superman. But Orm is not clearing the Justice League. That's it. That's just that's how I gotta end that thought. Orm is not clearing the Justice League.
Yeah, he definitely powered up without question. Cyberneticshark, sir, what are your final thoughts? So I know you were not a huge fan, obviously, of Throne of Atlantis. So what do you think? What are your final thoughts?
So I mean, the conclusion of the film is okay. It's got quite a bit of action going on in it, so that was fun seeing the Justice League in action and doing their thing. And of course, as everyone's kind of mentioned prior, there's a lot of stuff that is just kind of like, why did Wonder Woman kind of fly? All this kind of stuff. But I still think that overall the ending is not too shabby. It's not too bad. Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite of the animated films that DC has put out up to this point. But I think overall, in general, the film could have been better, definitely animated better. But the voiceovers, I think were very phenomenal. I think they did a really good job. I think that, Nathan Fillion, Rosario Dawson, all of them did a really good job voicing these characters. I did enjoy hearing the voices of the characters. I thought they did a decent job. But I mean, honestly, like how this movie kind of ends, with Aquaman becoming king, and Justice League being the audience when he gets kinged and stuff like that. We get kind of that there's a new threat that they're gonna have to deal with and stuff like that, and kind of showing Justice League is not done. They're gonna keep going. And if you watch into the post credits, we get to see Orm is incarcerated at Belle Reve, and then we get to see Lex Luthor, which I think out of all the things, I love that post-credit scene the most, simply for the fact that we got to see Lex Luthor, who I always think is a really great villain. I always enjoy him. I think usually they do a really good job with him in the animated films because they're able to get the look down perfectly because of just how he's animated. It's a very simplistic look. But at the same time, usually whoever voices them is on point when they're doing their voiceovers. And so I think that, getting to see him, it was a really great treasure. But I mean, overall, it was so funny how much this is basically like a carbon copy of Aquaman 2018. And, just with the addition of the Justice League being involved. It's funny. I think it's probably from the same comic book storyline that they must have took for the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was kind of just like rewatching that, as we all have mentioned over the course of this review. But overall, I think that, it definitely had some interesting things. Like I said, not a huge fan of the animation, great voiceovers, all that kind of stuff. I thought the action in some sequences were really superb. The ending sequence, I think, had some of the best action in it. I enjoyed Cyborg, very much. And he's always a great character to get to see because he has so many possibilities that you could do with that character. And so anytime getting to see him and do anything like that, and do his thing is always fun to see, especially, like I mentioned earlier, that very beginning, seeing him being in his mind and to be able to see himself normal. I think that's a cool thing about Cyborg is how he's still very much human, but, unfortunately, majority of him is, replaced by human parts or, robotic parts. But I think that storyline's fun. Superman, of course, I love, whenever Superman's actually portrayed as Superman. And that's one good thing I did care for, is that we had Superman that was Superman in this. They did a good job with that. Like Wonder Woman, like I said, I thought she was okay in this. I thought Arthur Curry was a whiny bitch in this. I'm sorry. He just was the whiniest bitch. And I was like cracking up the whole time going, this is not Arthur Curry. This is not a superhero to me. This sounds like a whiny little bitch. So, there's definitely many things about this that could have been so much better. But overall, in the scheme of it, it was okay. It has some entertaining value to it. And I at least have to give credit for the great voice casting that they provided for it.
I want to know how he healed so quickly from that fucking trident getting like stuck right into his chest. You know what I'm saying? Like he just bounced back from that. You know what I mean? Like, it looked like he was going to die, but somehow magically, like he was healed, I don't know. Andres, final thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I thought the action final part was decent. Yeah, I kind of agreed. I totally forgot that. Yeah, they really over Ocean Master against all the Justice League. Like, I mean, I get from Superman being taken down so easy because people forget that magic is his other weakness, besides kryptonite or red sun from his planet. So it makes sense that the Trident can easily like subdue him, like take him down. So that makes sense. Wonder Woman, I'm like, how the hell like electricity beats her? But okay, whatever. I can, if it was that high of a voltage, okay. But come on, like how you gonna be Flash or Green Lantern? I was like, how powerful is this Triton? Like we don't I don't understand how powerful this Triton is. How old it is? Like, is it this like magical weapon that's like force from nature, yeah, so it was just weird that he was like, I mean, it made sense with Superman and Cyborg. I mean, those two are like easy, you can defeat them down by magic, but the rest is like, oh, I don't know, like, I mean, even Batman, like he took down Batman, so like it's like, okay, we didn't see that. So yeah, so and then of course the twist where Cyborg was able to show like the recording of like Orm's confession that he killed the mom, like was like, okay, that was a good move. And I got everyone behind Arthur, so that was a good like strategic move. And I think that's one of the cool things about this movie. It did a really good job of using Cyborg as a good character. So like I appreciate that this we're thinking like smart people instead of just hitting Arm, because they know they could not take Arm down. So like this is how you could beat him, by getting the army turn against him, which that happened. And then bam, Aquaman comes in, he beats his little brother ass like so badly, like he does like bam, and like hit like his half mask broken. I was like, whoa, and the blood come out. I was like, whoa, crazy. So that was really fun. So I thought that part was just great. To see, and then after that you saw like the aftermath, the characters. I never liked the idea of like our heroes doesn't like their names, so it was like kind of annoying that he didn't like the name Aquaman. It's like, come on, what else wouldn't call yourself, So I didn't like that. I was happy to see like Cyborg embracing a little more his life as a person. Like he asked one of the scientists that is very nice to him to take out a date for dinner. That was cool. But I didn't need Shazam like big door. Oh, my brother, look, you got the chick. I'm like, no, I don't want this kid. Like, he's not a friend of Cyborg. Like, so stupid. I don't know why we had Shazam. He wasn't in the New 52 lineup of Justice League. I don't get that. I don't know. It was just weird. Yeah. Then apparently all the Justice League were able to breathe water again. I was like, what is going on? Like, at least Batman, I noticed he had like some mask, something to breathe in, similar to Cyborg's. I mean, and Green Lantern, I get he could breathe anywhere, with his powers. But yeah, then you see the trench coming in, and it was cool. And then the post-credit scene, I was like, whoa, we're getting a post-credit scene, and that was cool to see Lex Luthor. The next, I mean, I'm curious what they're gonna do with this thing. Are we gonna get another Justice League movie where we're gonna get the Legion of Doom. You know, that makes kind of cool. Like, I mean, I like the idea of supervillain team up. You know, having Lex form the Legion of Doom, get every major villain that is personal to the Justice League member, like, you know, Ultramaster is personal for Aquaman. You know, either Joker or whatever Batman rogue can recruit. You know, goes against Batman, or, you know, of course Brainiac or whatever supervillain, he can join him to defeat Superman. You know, that'd be kind of cool for a Justice League movie. Yeah, I agree with Cyber. You know, animation's always been the best thing about Lex Luthor. You know, the live action movies have been hit and miss with Lex. But animation has always been good with Lex because they know how to draw his character and take time to develop him as the you know, the greatest supervillain slash mad, you know, scientist, whatever you want to pick Lex. But yeah, in terms, I agree with Will. I mean, if like, I know a lot of friends who are big Aquaman you know, fans, they probably like this more than the live action one because of its more serious tone. I get it, you know, it's not this like campy thing that the live action movie does, but then at the same time, it's like I kind of want some fun in my superhero movies. I don't want everything to be too serious. That's gonna be boring. Like, you could balance that. I know Aquaman it was so weird because they never commit to either be sincere with his campiness, or, you know, the seriousness always got cut. Like, the seriousness of the first movie always get undercut because you thought that like the mom. I thought the mom died, but then they reveal she survived, and it's like, whoa. I mean, they could easily say that for a sequel, and they didn't do that. You know, that's the one problem with that movie, is they jam pack everything. But yeah, so I enjoyed this finale. I thought it was better than the Doom finale. I gotta say, or the War finale. I had to say, just the War finale was like so like there. Here it's like at least everyone did the power set and everything else. But I do agree with Cyber. The animation had to be improved. And unfortunately, what I heard from my friends, the animation doesn't do, like, they don't really improve at all with this series of like New 52 movies we're going to review, because they don't have the big budget as they used to. You know, that's my opinion.
Okay. All right, guys. Give me a rating, please, from everybody. Will, what's your 1 through 10?
1 through 10, 6.
Okay. A 6. All right. Cyber.
I'll give it a 5.
All right. A 5. Andres.
I guess a 6.5 out of 10. It was decent.
All right. I will give it a 7. I actually thought it was okay. I didn't. It's obvious they went with like a different animation style with this film, and I didn't mind it, but it was different. It definitely was different. I will agree with that 100%. That it definitely looked a lot different, you know, than like what we've been watching, right? In the previous DC animated films, they obviously went in a different direction. So, all right, folks, that is our review of Justice League: Thorn of Atlantis. Thanks to everybody on the panel for joining us tonight. Will, thanks for coming on. Andres, appreciate you as always, sir. You're a wonderful guest and special guest co-host, sir. You're awesome. Cyber, sir, you're a legend. And we will do our plugs and get the fuck out of here.
Before we do that, real quick, sorry, do you guys, since I'm just joining on for this episode, do I have time to ask you guys all one question? It'll be super quick. We can just go around.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead, Will.
So what is currently your favorite movie in the DC animated universe? We'll make it real quick. We won't explain why. Mine is Justice League Doom. I just want to hear from each of you guys what your favorite one is. So that's going to give me some insight on where you're leaning. So mine is Justice League Doom, and then whoever wants to go.
Oh man, I'm not really sure. Go ahead, Andres.
Yeah. So man, that's a tough one. I guess I will say Batman Under the Red Hood. For me,
Okay.
that's a great Batman story. And first off, it improves the comic book way more. Like, the movie is so much better than the comic book if you read it, because they made everything right. How to return Jason Todd from the dead. So I was happy about that. and we have a great Joker, who is really dark. He's like a mixture of Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger at the same time, but in animation form, which is great. And I like Bruce Greenwood. I grew up watching a little bit of Young Justice, and I thought he's a great Batman voice actor behind Kevin Conroy. You know, nothing will beat Kevin Conroy as Batman, but I think he was very close. As like he was really good at Batman. So yeah, Batman Under the Hood is one of the best adaptations in terms of comic book, and I thought it's still one of the best they did so far.
For me, it's definitely Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. That's the best one I've ever seen. That I just loved it just because I loved the way this. It's such an interesting story, I loved that there were characters that I really enjoy in that movie, like Raven, from Teen Titans, was in there, teamed up with Superman, people like what's his name, John Constantine, working with Superman, I just loved all the team ups in that film, all the Louis Lane being like a freedom fighter, or whatever, on Earth, and all that, teamed up with like Harley Quinn and shit like that. It was cool. But that's it. Cyber, I guess. What do you got, sir?
I really like Justice League Final Frontier. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just quickly, I wanted to put that there because it means a lot, because that was the first time I met with these guys for the first time and became a regular in the show. That's another great one. Good pick, Cyber.
I think you've done pretty much almost all of our DC animated, haven't you?
Yeah, but I missed some. That's all I have to say. Yeah,
okay.
I've been with you guys with some of the DC stuff, but there's some that I had to miss, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So as far as plugs go, I will start with you, Will, and I'll go over to your YouTube channel for the Blurred Wire, and you can tell us what all you're doing over there.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, thanks for pulling it up, man. I feel honored. You're prepared. My channel is the Blurred Wire.
I see at the Bay you did something about WandaVision 9 months ago. That's cool. We love WandaVision.
Oh yes. So I'm doing a series with my brother called Fixing the Multiverse Saga. Because I think for a lot of people, the MCU's recent updates have felt like incohesive and just not really sure what the direction is and how they kind of changed everything. So my brother and I are going through each Multiverse Saga project and adjusting it to see how it could have been a little bit more cohesive. And you'll see a lot of projects like WandaVision. We don't end up doing that much too. Same with Shang-Chi. I guess that was kind of a spoiler, man. Okay. I won't tell you guys about any of the other ones we've done, but you can see it on the playlist. And then if you go under my recent videos, I've just been mainly reviewing movies that have come out recently. How to Train Your Dragon, Superman, Jurassic World. I even reviewed Ironheart, Mission Impossible, Ballerina. It's kind of been like a summer blockbuster for 2025. We've had so many great movies. And I even talk about how it's interesting how it seems like franchise movies are really dominating right now compared to original IPs. So yeah, on my channel, just reviewing movies, covering all kinds of stuff on different movies and TV shows. And like I said before, come over to the Blurred Wire if you want to nerd out.
All right, sir, most definitely. And I see you have 693 videos. That is a lot of content.
Thank you.
How old's your channel?
Oh, I had my channel for about 7 years, but I started posting content to it regularly about 2 years ago. So a good third, maybe 3/4 of those videos, probably 90% of those videos have come in the last 2.5 years.
Okay. Cyberneticshark, sir. Tell us what's going on over at Cyberneticshark.
All right, folks. So if you enjoyed me on the panel or enjoy me as a moderator, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, TikTok, X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Every place you can think of, even Patreon. Don't forget to check out the Patreon, folks. Got some cool stuff over there. Outtakes and bloopers, that kind of cool stuff. Anyways, you can see my most recent review there is my Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Finally got that up for you guys, even though that came out about 2 months ago now. So I finally got that up, so check that out. Really fun film. And then see my most recent trailer reaction was for the upcoming third film, the Now You See Me series. Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which is absolutely fantastic series. Can't wait to see this third one in November when it comes out. Check out that review. I'll be having my trailer reaction for The Bad Guys 2 up tonight, so keep your eyes out for that one. On my little shorts, my most recent was for Medea's Destination Wedding, which is a Netflix released film. Pretty funny film. If you haven't seen it, check out that mini review. And of course, also I put up my Bad Moon and Dog Soldiers mini reviews, so check those out too as well. So I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. Lots of stuff to edit and just put up for you guys. Usually this stuff gets done right around I see the film. Just getting around to editing it takes a while because I have so many I got to do. So. Anyways, we'll have more stuff up for you guys to see soon. So keep your eyes out, guys. Keep on subscribing. Keep on watching. Check out the Patreon page. Also help all our other fellow creators that pop up here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. And keep watching us here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. And keep supporting us here. We thank you guys. And keep on listening to our podcast as well.
Cyber, how was F1? F1 was good?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I saw the trailer in the theater.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. If you want a movie that is about racing, is about action, is about being human, this is the movie for you.
Will, did you see the trailer for the new Predator film that's coming out at the end of the year?
I have. I should bring you guys on to react to it.
Predator Badlands? Oh my God.
Oh, I'm so going to see that.
Looks good.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love the addition of the android, character, in the film,
Yes. Yeah, it looks good. Dakota Fanning is going to be good in that.
Yeah, most definitely. Feels like Dakota Fanning's been around forever.
That's the sister, folks. Just to let you know, Dakota Fanning is the older sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This one is the one from Men on Fire. If you've seen that movie.
Oh,
is it
yeah.
Elle Fanning? Not
Yeah.
Dakota Fanning?
Yeah.
Elle Fanning.
Okay.
Elle Fanning. Okay, Elle Fanning. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, because Dakota Fanning's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. The last time I saw Dakota Fanning on anything, I think was like a TV show she was on TNT.
Yeah, it was called my friend just watched it. It was the
back when TNT used to have some decent TV shows.
Yeah.
I'm just a pop culture guy, sir.
All right. I just want to say thank you, Will, for joining us today on this awesome Thought on Atlantis. So my content's been kind of slow because I'm getting ready to go to vacation. But yesterday, I posted my top DC EU movies rank after Superman came out. So it was a good time to kind of see how I felt. Like the new movie I saw in that old series was from Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is great, actually. It's a really good movie. I saw it in Max. So yeah, check it out. And I'm working on my Suicide Squad movie tribute. And hopefully I get around doing my Fantastic Four stuff because we're getting the new movie Friday. And speaking of that, I have started doing short reviews on the old Fantastic Four movies. So I just finished up the Tim Story ones. Was it Friday? Yeah, or something like that. I reviewed the awful, Will, you brought up the 2015 one. I had to review a very short, at least a short review on that awful 2015 one, and then I will, or after I review the new movie, if I see it on Friday, I'm gonna get that out and think what's my thoughts on the new one. So that's where I'm at right now. No, really did live streams for this month, so check out me and Jeff. Thank you for joining me. It was fun to talk about the Suicide Squad. Thought it was a good time to get ready for us to lead up to August when we get into Peacemaker season 2. I just talked to you guys.
I'll give you a new picture, sir. I can give you a better picture of myself to put up on your thumbnails. Yeah, I'll hook you up.
All right. Well, let me know and send it to Facebook, and I'll use that.
All right, sir.
so that's where I'm at right now. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Andre, the pop culture guy. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate everybody that appreciates the MCU's Bleeding Edge, of course, wherever you're at. And we'll see you again on Friday for Resident Evil. Andre, the pop culture guy, will not be here. Like he said, he'll be on vacation. But Cyber will be here, and he'll be moderating. Wait a minute. No, he's not. That's one of my movies. So I'm moderating. So I'm double moderating this week, apparently. So there you go. How about that? Gotta love it. I'm cool with that, though. It's all good. I can roll with those punches, folks. All right, we'll see you on the next one, everybody. Peace out. Laters.